the Allocations Committee to order at 4:36 p.m. Apologies for the technical difficulties, but I'm glad we have everybody in now. I hear myself. Okay. I can also hear myself in feedback. So when I pause, everybody understand it's because I can hear myself. So the first item on our voting agenda is the approval of the October 2nd Allocations Committee meeting minutes. It was included in your packet, so hopefully everyone has had a chance to review them. And at this time, I can entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the minutes from the previous meeting as, I'm sorry. Madam Chair, I so move.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second.
Who was that for? Oh, the
Commissioner.
yeah, Commissioner Daniel.
Damani. Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Please say so or raise your hand.
Aye.
The motion carries unanimously. Thank you. The next voting item agenda is the funding allocations for Arts Activate 2026. But before we vote on it, we have a briefing and I will pass it on to Julia. Have the mic. And as is typical, Julia will pause at the perfect places for questions. That doesn't mean you can't interrupt her, but it'll be a more efficient meeting if you wait for her to call for questions.
Thank you. I have my wonderful team with me who did the work for this round. So I want to first highlight and thank Kayla Jordan and Catherine Haskell. So if you have questions about these projects, I'm speaking, but please know that this was very much their wonderful work. So all of the great projects that you get to support are because of their engagement with this artist this round. So we're really excited to have them here. Round one applications opened on June 4th and closed July 7th. We received 106 applications by the deadline. This is slightly under what we did last year, presumably because we moved the deadline up just a little bit, but it's still a very sizable number. Most of those were in English. We did receive about half and half individual artists and nonprofit organizations. One interesting trend we don't see a lot is that we actually had more new individual artists apply than returning. That's not typical. So we will be excited to re-engage with these individuals this year, even if they're not selected for funding in this program. That means something is working in our marketing and our outreach somewhere, and we're excited to include those folks in our OAC system, even if funding doesn't work out for them this round. We also had 14 new organizations and 37 returning organizations, which is a really great turnout. Of these, 99 went to panel. We had 40 panelists, which means that every application was read by at least 4 to 5 qualified individuals, experts in culture field at some point in the past few years. Those that did not go to panel had reasons like they had an incompliant project, they withdrew, they're not in Dallas, 501c3 expired, ineligible operations, or a wonderful reason, one of the artists actually converted to an OAC employee at the South Dallas Cultural Center. So we get to have her on the flip side of OAC, which is really exciting. This year, artists are really excited to hear from you today because we have been delayed in our review of round one. This is due to the summer months that we spent to ensure that our guidelines were federally compliant. All right, we can move on to the next one about the budget. So the total this year, unlike most years, our budget is very finalized by the time we do round one, which is great. It remained at 1.3 thanks to wonderful work by Glenn and Martine and leadership to make sure that this budget was not decreased, which is really, really wonderful. So we get to keep our budget from last year to be divided among 3 rounds. We had a slight increase last year in what we were able to do for this program due to reallocation of Dallas Black Dance funding. So we will support a few fewer folks than we did last year, but it's still with the same retained budget. Rounds are not always divided evenly. In past years, we had a particularly large 2023 round one because we had an enormous influx of applicants. So in round one, we got real excited and we spent $600,000 in round one. That may not, well, we had really good reason to do it to keep the percentage of folks we accepted high. This was really tough for staff to do to keep up with the high influx of new contracts right at the beginning of the fiscal year. So we learned our lesson, we rolled it back in 2024, 2025, and we had a bigger year overall, but we kept it closer to the same with a little lean on round one this past year. We spent 475, 476 in round one. We started with our budget of 433, and then we utched it for a big influx of round one, a lighter round two, and then a pretty big round three. OAC proposes once again doing that strategy where we have more or less 433 for each round, which is about 35 to 40 projects-ish. We're going to show you some scenarios that go slightly over that, but not so much that it will be a wild 600,000 feeling year. What that means is that our acceptance rate for this program is still only going to be about 45 and 50, and there are always wonderful projects that we just don't get to. So I'll talk to the strategies of what we do with the artists that we don't support this round later in our conversation. Okay, this year is special because we had to spend, normally we have this conversation in August. It's not August, it's November. And that's because we had to spend about 2 months this summer making sure that our guidelines were federally compliant. I'm thrilled to say they are. That said, it took us a while to get there. And some applicants, because these applications were open in June and July, some applicants went with the guidelines as they were printed back earlier in the spring and suggested projects that could start as early as October 15. We can't make that happen as it's now November 6th. The very earliest that we could possibly start contracts is December 1, and we will be seriously rolling to get there by December 1, beginning tomorrow. Artists were told this as soon as we knew this back in office in August. And what we told them we would do, and what we did was we considered all applications as they were submitted. We did not request any changes from the artist because they did what we asked them to do. And so we figured it was our job on the back end to make those changes. So we told the panelists to just ignore all the dates and look only at the project itself. So for artists that were selected for funding today, who are selected for projects that either they wanted to do or they needed to do in October and November, we're going to offer the following options at orientation, which will be next week. If the project has not yet happened, our best option is just move it after December 1. Hopefully, knock on wood, we'll be able to have a lot of folks just do that because that'll be by far the easiest move. Second choice is for folks that have not done the project yet. They will provide us an alternative but similar project to support sometime between December 1 and September 15. By similar, we're looking for the art form, same themes, same audience, general, close-ish. So if you suggested something that was specifically for Hispanic Heritage Month that had to be in October, and October is now gone, but you could give us a Hispanic Heritage art project that could take place in March, we'll roll with that. If neither of those options work and the project has not yet occurred, they could not do it without us, and so it did not happen. Those folks will receive an automatic admission to Arts Activate Round 1 2027 with the same project that they proposed for Round 1 2026. If the project did happen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to present a moderated artist talk in December to showcase the work of artists in our community, these artists, and they'll receive payment for their presentation, the same amount as we would have done the Arts Activate Award. And they can use that to reimburse themselves for costs of the work that they did that would have been approved by you. If that won't work for them, like the costs are now, they already paid it, it's gone, they can also take the option of receiving an automatic admission to Arts Activate Round 1 2027 with the same project that they proposed in Round 1 of 2026. So everybody who proposed a project that was supposed to happen between October 15th and November 30th, there will be a part at orientation that will present these options, and then we will connect individually with those folks after orientation, find out which one they want to do, and move their contract along accordingly. I am going to pause for questions on this. I see one.
Commissioner Valentin.
Thank you. Just a quick clarifying question on the December 1st deadline. Is that for you to have this round contracted internally for yourselves?
That is the earliest start date of a project that we could possibly have a contract done.
Okay.
It takes us usually about 6 weeks, to be honest, to get a contract up and running, because first it has to go to risk management and we got to get their insurance done, and they have to clarify their scope with us, and then we have to get a blah, 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 blah. There's a bunch of other departments that we work with besides OAC to get a contract that we all understand and ready to go, fully signed by everybody that needs to sign before their project can start.
Julia, let me ask you, we walked through this in the prep meeting. As I recall, this makes about a 6 week, can make as short as a 6 week difference for these folks. Because we were talking about projects that, had we gone in and made the awards, wouldn't have started until October the 15th. So if they're actually able to be flexible and move and start December 1st, they could be paid on a very similar, they could receive payment about 6 weeks behind what they would have received it if they'd started on October 15th, roughly. I think that's what we walked through.
That's about right.
So
we're about 6 weeks behind.
So it's not exact, but in terms of thinking about how artists plan to have their, to have income, it's not impossible for some of these round folks to, well, they're not going to receive the money in 2025 in all likelihood, but early 2026.
Yeah.
I always try to think about what's the impact on the artist who is counting on this as a part of their annual income,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about who's on deck to fund. Okay. Keep going. I think that was the only question. Did anybody have any other questions?
So I don't, can I see everyone? Are there any other people? Okay, good.
But I can't see their videos. I don't know if they have their things.
So Truzillo has rolled off the commission. So, but
Her calendar or her videos.
her video's on Truzillo.
No, I'm on holdover.
Oh, and holdover. Okay, I didn't realize you were there. Welcome, Joe. I'm just
Sorry,
trying to make sure.
Having technical difficulties, but I'm here.
Well, and I'm trying to make sure there are only a certain number, there are only 6 squares up, so I don't want to miss anybody who wants to ask a question just because I can't see them. So if we move on and you have your hand up, I want you to assume it's because you are not showing up on the screen, and please jump in so that we know that you're there.
Great.
Having said that, does anybody have any more questions for Julia right now? No, okay.
Great. Okay. So we have 2 scenarios in front of you, and I don't remember which one goes first, so we'll just hang out for just a second. First one is blue. This is the one that goes pretty strictly by score. So the only thing I want to draw your attention to before we get into this is there is one artist in both scenarios who has ineligible expenses that we found between the time we sent this out and today. So Ty Frazier, presenting Soulful Sustenance from Our Roots with Love, received a high panel score, but we have some things in the budget that we aren't allowed by city rules to fund. So we'll connect with this artist for future rounds and help him straighten that out for round 2 or round 3. But we will not be supporting that one project. So just to let folks know. For scenario 1, and because we aren't supporting that project, we moved down 1 on that list in both scenarios to support Marissa Caggiano's project, which is Bright Futures Community Mural. And that will be in both scenarios because Ty was in both scenarios, and that project summary was in your packet. So for the blue scenario, this goes strictly by score. This is anybody who got at least a 94 in the individual artist category and a 93 in the orgs category. This funds individual artists, 22 of them. It is full funding to top scorers with scores above 94. It is 39% funding to IA and 44% to nonprofit applicants. The 39% of funding overall to individual artists, and it funds 44% of the applicants. The organizations funded would be 23, and this is full funding to top scorers with scores above 93% in their panel group. This is 61% of all our total funding to organizations, and on average, about 43% of our applicants are funded. This brings us to a total budget of $444,200. This allows for more returning individual artists to join us. There is a project in every City of Dallas district except District 10. And in full disclosure, that is the same in both scenarios. There were no projects presented for District 10 that really scored above the break in either scenario. So that will be a district that we will look at very carefully in rounds 2 and 3. The yellow scenario, if we can push one further, thank you so much. The yellow scenario recognizes that as much as we coach our wonderful panels, and they truly they really do a great job. Sometimes we have some panels that are a little bit more, that make a bigger difference between the highest and the lowest scores. And so we had in the nonprofit group A, which is our smallest organizations that are not eligible for COP funding, we had a panel that was particularly small if you go by strictly the numbers. And so we present one scenario that lets us get what we like to do, which is about half of every panel. So this is approximately half of every panel with an emphasis on the smallest organizations that are not eligible for COP funding. So individual artist funding, this would be 20. This is again full funding to individual artists in the top 5 or 6 applicants of their panel groups. It is approximately 35% of the total funding going to individual artists, and about 40% of individual artist applicants are funded. Then we have 25 organizations. This is full funding to organizations in like the top half of their panel groups. This is about 65% of the total funding to smaller organizations and organizations overall. And again, it funds about on an average 45% of all our nonprofit applicants. This budget is $457,500. So the pros of this one are it allows for more small organizations funded who are not eligible for COP. Yes, Commissioner Spellacy.
Oh, I was going to wait till you were done, but are you ready for questions or? Can y'all hear me?
Sorry,
Okay.
no, I had turned off my mic. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So I guess my question is, what was the issue with the panel A? You said there was a larger division between the scores between the top and the bottom of the because we normalize all the scores anyway, right? So I mean, so even if there is some kind of variation in the panels, normalizing them should fix that. So can you give us the explanation as to what kind of you felt was the issue in that one panel?
Yeah. So yes, we do normalize them, absolutely. But that's like grading on the curve so that what we do is say, okay, if out of 70 points, the person who scored the highest got a 62, that means 62 points is all that panel was willing to give that day. And so that person, we go whoosh, and they get 100. The next person, however far away they were from 62, gets bumped up. If they were 96% close to 62, great, you get a 96. If the panel had big old differences between, they gave somebody a 70 and somebody a 50, often that still works itself out if there were lots in the middle. This one time, and as it happens on occasion, some panels are probably overly generous and they give everybody a 60 to a 70. In that case, the normalizing doesn't super help because somebody got a top score, and so everybody gets an A in that class. in this case, they scored like one or two people really high and then kind of tanked. The rest really trailed. And so the normalizing did not really help those out. And there are still really strong projects. That panel just was more discerning between how they awarded points than we typically see. And that's okay. That's why we have citizen panels. Everybody's allowed to bring their own opinions and backgrounds. We try and get folks pretty close by giving a rubric. But we also want to be sure that we are looking for strong projects that the panel may just have had a different experience than we would normally expect and want to present that to you as an option to support. Because even with those big ranges, we're only giving you projects that scored above a 90.
So kind of short version, we don't want to penalize people who, had they been scored by panel B, C, or D, would have, we don't want it to be so random that just drawing a particularly strict panel makes you completely out of the running.
You got it.
Is the bottom line. Commissioner Hornbuckle?
Can I do a
Oh.
quick follow-up?
Yes,
Yes.
Julie,
sorry,
I was just
Commissioner Hor-
asking.
Commissioner
Can you hear me?
Hornbuckle, if you could pause for just a minute. I did not
Sure.
realize that Commissioner Spellacy has a follow-up.
Oh, I'm
Commissioner
sorry.
Spellacy, if you go ahead, and then Commissioner Hornbuckle, you will be the next on deck.
Well, I just wanted to make sure I was understanding correctly. So in your opinion, there was a large gap between the top couple scores in that panel and everybody else. And in your opinion, that the project merits did not necessarily warrant that big of a gap. Is that kind of what I'm understanding?
That you wanted to dip down and go grab. Yes, we're saying that the three projects, but the difference between yellow and blue is 3 more organizations get funded. And those organizations are presenting particularly like strong projects that in other rounds probably would have been funded.
Cool, thank you.
Thank you for your questions, Commissioner Spellacy. Commissioner Hornbuckle?
Yes, I was wondering if staff has a recommendation.
We do actually. So typically it would tell you one or the other. In this case, if you go, did you say something? Sorry. I wanted to make, I thought I heard Catherine go, I was like, whoo, better catch that. This round, Adriana, if you go one more slide, in really looking at this today, we have the gift of a fully staffed OAC team. Thank the stars, Lord, what have you. Thank a lot of people. We have a fully staffed team. We could indeed handle supporting all projects in either blue or yellow. So we could very reasonably do the 3 projects that we would like to grab for the organizations in A and the 2 additional individual artists without really blowing our budget. This would bring our budget for the round to 468,700, which leaves us about 415,650 per round. This is going to be likely closer to 400 for round 2 because it's always a little bit of a smaller round, and about 450 again for round 3, which gives us a little oomph at the end of the year, which I think we will need.
I think we might have to pause for just a minute.
And it's on.
Got it.
Okay, so we have I just want to be sure that we're not running afoul. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a question from
Yes.
Commissioner Hornbuckle first.
Just wrapping up one more sentence. So we would, if you don't want to do that, if you want to be more cautious with our budget, then our second choice, I believe, is yellow this time. But we'll do any of them.
And what we're going to do is I'm going to go through and let anyone who has a comment or a question speak. And then I am going to just ask for a general show of hands or voice about whether there is interest in the combined one. Because if there is, then we don't have to go any further. So Commissioner Hornbuckle, you still have your hand up. Did you have a follow-up? No. Commissioner Spellacy.
Yeah, actually, just based on what she just said, my recommendation would be we go with the combined scenario because I liked the first one because I like to, in Arts Activate, try to give funding to as many individual artists as we can. And then based on what she said about that one particular panel, it makes sense to me to pull in those additional 3 groups. And yeah, I think the budget is close enough that I think that that's totally acceptable to do it that way.
So let me ask,
Be what kind of
by a show of
combined.
hands, if there is anyone who is against the combined recommendation, if it troubles you that we would have a little bit less to award in round 2. So is there anybody who would like to speak out against the combined, the OAC's recommendation of the combined option? Does anybody have any questions about the recommendation or the combined scenario? Can anybody who can see everyone on the screen, do you see any hands up that I am not recognizing? If you want to speak, please. Okay, Commissioner Holomo.
Thank you. I really like scenario blue, scenario 1 blue. So that's my preference. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Holomo. Okay, so we have some interest in scenario blue, and we have some interest in the combined scenario. Is there anyone who really wants to speak up for the yellow scenario? Okay, I am going to ask just by a show of Commissioner Spellacy.
I was just going to ask why he would support blue and not necessarily pull in those other 3 projects that would be, because the combined one would support everyone in blue. It would just add those additional 3 in yellow, correct?
That's my
Is that-
understanding.
Yeah, so I was just
I should have told you my why.
to
Sorry,
add
my
those other
apologies.
3.
Okay. The reason is because I always feel like we there is a round that we always tend to overspend, and then it's kind of like we have what we have for the other rounds. And so I just thought, let's not start that way now. Let's start, especially since it was so wonky and the timing was just really difficult. And plus, not all of these organizations or artists are going to take the money, right? They may decide to just wait for the next year. So I'd be curious as to how many are going to select, yes, I'd like the money, and then maybe go from there. But that's my why. Thanks.
So one of the things that, so one of the things I'd like to do is, if there's an overall consensus about the combined one, then we can move forward. But if there is more sentiment towards choosing between blue and yellow, then I want to give everyone an opportunity to talk about which of the 2 that they present. I think that makes sort of strategical and logical sense, because if there is a consensus. So would anybody like to speak on behalf of the combined, the yellow, or the blue? Wait,
I'll speak up.
just one moment, Commissioner Truzillo. I have recognized Teresa sitting next to me.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Based on what Commissioner Holomo just said in regards to the possibility that individuals or people may not elect to take the funding at this time, I think that kind of confirms my interest in us moving with option 3, the combined scenario, because at the end of the day, we may not even really spend that total amount in that round.
Thank you. Commissioner Truzillo?
I was going to say the exact same thing, although I am very cognizant of the fact that we run out of money every year in round 3. But also banking on not everyone is going to take it, which is unlike any other time before. I think we should go with option 3.
And just for clarification, I think it's an $11,000 difference between, is that right?
Between the not quite.
Okay, what is it?
between the combined and the blue or combined and.
Well, either one. Let's say, what's the difference between the combined and the blue and the combined and the, 'cause I had 468 minus 457.
457 is yellow.
Oh, 457. Okay, so there's an $11,000 difference between the combined and the yellow. And what was the total on the blue?
The blue is.
The blue's a little more.
The blue is 444, 200.
So the blue is significantly less than not significantly.
The blue should be 24,500 less.
Of course, it's on your spreadsheets. Well, it's less than the blue, but then the combined, do you have?
The combined is 468, 700.
Okay.
The yellow is 457 and the blue is 444.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a difference of like 11 on one and 23 on the other.
For what it is worth, the other reason that we're presenting a combined scenario is because we changed the guidelines this year to specifically on this committee's suggestion, put in the guidelines that we could, with organizations or artists of similar scores in rounds 2 and 3, prioritize artists that had not been funded yet. So that is another change that we will be able to make this year that will allow us to grab more folks, which is another reason that we feel okay presenting you with a combined option.
Commissioner Halomo.
I have a question. Julia, have you gotten any indication from artists or the organizations that they will forego this round of money and participate next year?
A couple. We had a couple drop out entirely because they didn't want to wait for us and had an annual festival that just could not be moved. But there were also a couple of folks that had projects that it's still annual, and so a guaranteed option for next year is a pretty good option. One of the individual artists does a Day of the Dead tree ceremony at a cemetery every year. So he may be one of the ones that takes the next option. So I genuinely don't know. We are going to find out. We've never done this. But for all the artists who panicked when they got that email in August, we sent a version of here's what's going to happen in brief, or we got on the phone with them. We had probably about 8 or 10 phone calls from stressed people and gave this answer. And it people were more or less pacified by it, but I don't know what they're going to pick. So I wish I had that answer for you. I don't. Sure. We're going to find out next week.
Follow-up question then would be, what happens if some of these bank the funds for next year? Does that mean that Arts Activate round is automatically smaller because of the money that we set aside for them? Or is this money going to be able to carry over and it would be more money to accommodate them?
No, we don't carry over year to year. But it wouldn't make a smaller Arts Activate round. It just would mean, so if they don't take the money now, then we bank it for round 3 and round 2, right? Because they'll tell us in the next couple of weeks what they want to do. So we will either bank it for you to decide on in December, or again in, I think it's April that we take it to you this time. So we'll use that banked money this year. And then it's not that round 1 of 27 will be smaller. It just will be pre-populated with some folks. Yeah.
Okay. And then on Swan Strings and the notes, it said 2 new, I think.
So for COP organizations, which Swan Strings now is, yay. For COP organizations, we look pretty carefully at whether their project was in scope for COP or not. And so some of those folks, especially if they didn't know they were going to be part of COP, applied for things for Arts Activate that are now well within their COP scope because they didn't know they were getting COP in June, and so they applied. So we don't push those forward for Arts Activate because we are already funding them through COP. Swan Strings specifically proposed locations that are not part of the COP scope and a program that is not part of the COP scope. Same thing with Writers Garret. They put forward a project that is not, and explicitly is not, part of their COP scope because it's something new and different. So when that happens, we can support a COP organization if they are proposing something that is explicitly beyond different one-time event that is not part of their COP year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Holomo. Commissioner Hornbuckle?
Yes, I like you to, I like to combine based upon what I'm hearing from everyone. But also what organizations or what individuals will be added? I don't see it on the screen. I apologize.
Sure. So the three that would be added are Artists Sans Frontieres. They present Hazard: The Next Wave. Last year, that was an elevator project. It's a theatrical production. It has to do with immigration, I believe. Oak Lawn Band presenting Sapphire Celebration 45 Years of Pride. That's a wind band. And Apex Performing Arts Save the Summer for, which is a summer program for summer of 2027. Excuse me, six. And then
Right, thank you.
oh, sorry, that's
More,
the
it's
three
more,
organizations.
oh, it's individuals. Okay, go
And
ahead.
then individuals in the blue scenario, that would be Gloria Agudelo presenting Granito de Cafe, and then Shalita McDuffie, who's presenting Seasonal Sewing, which is a sewing circle.
Gotcha. Thank you. Oh, have we ever funded a sewing circle?
Yes, says Kayla, who's sitting right
Oh, we
next
have?
to me. We are all up in the fabric arts around here. It's a good
Okay.
time. Mm-hmm.
That's the first I've heard of it. Thank you.
Commissioner Holomo?
Yes, I'd like to change my stance from blue to, I guess, the staff recommendation.
Combined. Okay.
Thank you.
Do we have any other comments or questions? And if I don't see any hands go up, would anybody like to make a motion? Do you
I
see-
Motion
move
to
that we
approve.
accept,
Go ahead, Joe.
What?
Go ahead, Joe.
Whoa,
I
whoa,
move
whoa.
that
I have Commissioner Jackson's hand up first and then Commissioner
Perfect.
Truzilla next. So Commissioner Jackson.
I move, Madam Chair, that we accept the, option 3, the combined scenario that adds, the additional 3, I believe,
Five.
five artists and programs.
Commissioner Truzilla.
I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you all. Right.
Okay, so that was our second voting item. We are now ready to move on to the briefing on the culture of value update. And Julia will be briefing us on this item as well. And again, let's wait for, if possible, let's wait for Julia to ask for questions.
Great. I'm going to pause just a second to see if my colleague Itzel is on the phone. If she is, she gets dibs on telling you about this program.
She's not on.
But I don't see her there. So I will take it and you can clap for her later. Just like Kayla and Catherine have done the absolute lion's share of the Arts Activate work, Itzel is spearheading Culture of Value. So as you all received in an email last week about free arts and culture in your district specifically, Culture of Value is taking place right this second. Literally right this second, I believe. There's an event happening tonight. So there's 50 events in 30 days. There are at least 2 events in every single district. That's 50 artists and organizations celebrating Dallas's communities, including 9 artists brand new to OAC and 2 more that have only been part of community arts, and this is their first foray into the funding program. So it is a really wonderful set of projects. Please come out to ones in your neck of the woods. All commissioners received an email on Friday with events in their home districts. Thank you so much to Adriana for doing all of that. And a full calendar is available online. Check it out. We're doing everything from dance to clay to a grief workshop with quilts and fabrics, and it's going to be quite a month. So really hope to see you there. I will be at the one at Audelia Branch Library this weekend, so come on out. Please share these widely. They are all free. That's a library requirement. They are all open to the public, and they are all really interesting and exciting projects that it's a good time to get to know our artists one-on-one and really support our libraries and our rec centers while we're at it.
Any questions on culture of value? Excellent job.
We're going to run it again this year. It will come back in August. It'll come back next summer. It'll hopefully come back a little earlier, but we're going to run it all over again at the end of the summer. So,
And I'm going to, point of privilege, just take a couple of seconds because we have a lot of people who've been on this committee forever, but we have a handful of new folks. We have cultural value because of Glenn in his first round here. We had an NEA grant, and so this is just it makes me happy, makes me smile every single time we talk about cultural value, because in a world where arts budgets tend to shrink instead of expand, where programming, you seldom see a brand new funding program come along, especially a brand new city funding or municipal or governmental funding program come along. So in a time when we are seeing governmental funding shrinking, this is a perfect example of how something has lived from before the pandemic and created a really new and unique funding program for our city. It addresses an area that COP doesn't address, Arts Activate doesn't address, and it is the only program that I know that we just consistently seem to hit every district. So it's really a program to be proud of. So thank you to the entire staff, and especially to you, Glenn, for having the foresight to come up with this one. Okay. Any comments, questions? Okay, moving on. The next item on our agenda is the Allocations Committee meeting for 2026.
here are the dates.
Let's not have any discussion on them, but everybody please review them. If you see some problems, email the office staff and we will we'll look at that as we move into the new year. Do we have a December meeting?
Yes, I'm sorry. We have to vote on round 2 of Arts Activate.
So we do have a December.
I know, I'm sorry.
December 4th. So hopefully everybody has that on your calendar, and we will have a quorum, and that will hopefully go as smoothly as this one did.
Yep, it'll be
Okay.
great.
So the next is the only update that I have, and I'm actually I'm going to ask Julia to give you the details, but the update is that COP will be voted on by City Council this week on Wednesday. It was initially scheduled to be voted on last week or the week before.
Next week.
Previously, we thought it would be voted on earlier, but when we were in front of the Quality of Life Committee, they had some questions, which the staff has provided answers, and the organization in question provided a memo. Glenn, would you or Julia like to provide more details?
Yes, if you, it's actually in, we made a little slide about it based on your comments.
request.
So, just a little update about COP 2026. Those recommendations based on your vote went to the Quality of Life Arts Culture Committee. COLAC questioned the reinstatement of Dallas Black Dance Theater into the COP for 25-26. A Dallas Black Dance Theater Board representative who was present at the meeting responded to questions of the committee in real time. COLAC requested a memo of measures that the organization had taken to resolve conflicts with their artists and respond to the recommendations of the National Labor Relations Board. DBT wrote that memo to the COLAC committee and City Council explaining actions taken with a cover sheet from the OAC. And on November 12th, all 65 organizations' funding recommendations, including Dallas Black Dance Theater, will go before City Council.
Still on the consent agenda.
As of right now, it is still on the consent agenda.
I plan to be at City Hall. I always like to be there when they vote on COP. It's usually quick when it's on the consent agenda, but anybody wants to join me, if it's on the consent agenda, I'll buy you a cup of coffee. If there ends up being discussion, it might be something other than coffee, depending on how late the meeting goes.
We don't say that part.
I just mean lunch, but all within the
Lunch.
all within the confines of what is allowed under the gift policy, which I spent half the day watching my update on the ethics. Since it's time to watch that again for me. Okay.
All right.
morning.
Yes, I have some other staff updates if it's,
Go ahead.
it's my turn. Okay, so I don't think this slide was in your PowerPoint, but it's here now. So 2026, so your update was it's going to council on Wednesday. Starting Thursday, bright and early in the morning, we're going to have COP orientations. We're going to have 4 of them. 3 of them will be in at the Latino Cultural Center, the Bathhouse Cultural Center, and the South Dallas Cultural Center. There's a couple in the morning, there's one late afternoon, and then November 19th, we will have one virtual option that's 10:30 to noon. The reason that I am telling you about them, it is not mandatory for you to come. However, tomorrow, thanks to the wonderful Chair Small, who's going to go ahead and approve your liaison representatives for the year, which is really exciting. Everybody got at least somebody they wanted or were interested in. Lots of folks got repeats if you wanted them. There's also a lot of new assignments. Y'all get to make new friends. It's going to be great. If you would like to go to your orientations to do 2 things. One is this is a great time to meet your people in person. It's also a really great time to understand what your COP organizations are responsible for in the 25-26 year so that you can help them be successful in this program. And remind them that staff is in fact here to help and not just here to bully them into submission. You can be great friends with us in that. So I highly encourage you to come out. We will have snacks. I will make it as not boring as possible. It's usually a really interesting time and it's great to see our organizations in person. So you will get those announcements and introductions to your folks tomorrow. You will also get those calendar invites. If you can make it to one of them, would be lovely. If you want to tag team and plan with your organization to go to the same one, also lovely. But even if you don't make it to the same one, just knowing what's happening in COP and what is involved from that side can be really helpful. My whole thing is basically just save the dates and things you're invited to. So here we go. Here's the next one. So believe it or not, it's 2027, according to the Office of Arts and Culture. So guidelines for Arts Activate, CAP, and COP for the 26-27 year need to start getting drafted and voted through council like now. So in December, we will be doing something in a format we have not done before, but really think it's important, especially after this past year when we changed a lot and it's a 3-year thing. And we feel the need to check in with our people about soliciting feedback from our current COP organizations and our potential applicants. So anybody who's applied but not been successful, they will be invited to at 3 hosted conversations. You are more than welcome to come and listen at these meetings. You also don't have to. We will circulate notes. We will use the feedback that we get in these community meetings to draft the new guidelines. The kicker is that normally I try and present you the draft a month early, we talk about it, and then you get the final one. Because of the speed that we need to turn this around and have these community conversations, which need to be after orientation from this year, the timeline is going to be such that you will get the draft as soon as possible, but you're also going to get it and we're going to need to run with it in January. So a heads up that this is going to be sort of fast and furious because we really want to ensure that our stakeholders have a voice in what this upcoming year looks like, especially if it's going to be year 2 or we take this year as we got some federal curveballs thrown at us. Next year's going to be year 1 again. I'm not entirely sure how we're going to go. That is why we are engaging the community to make sure that we are in a great place moving forward that has as many folks on board as possible. So I will keep you as in the loop as we can, but I want to let you know now that we will probably need to vote in January with fewer discussions from allocations than we normally would for the reason that we're doing community engagement, which you're invited to attend.
So thank goodness we did so much work on it last year, and they are in relatively good
Yep.
shape, hopefully. Is that your guitar?
Nope, we're still going. Okay. Next thing you're invited to is a party, December 16th. We will be I think at the South Dallas Culture Center. We are ironing that out. We normally do this in August and we just couldn't. I was very, very underwater with trying to get all our guidelines done. We didn't get it done, but we really do want to celebrate our panelists. They do a lot of work for us for free 99, and this is one way that we can celebrate and thank them. So you're invited to that too. So here's everything that we just talked about in one handy slide if you just want to take a picture of just this. So November, culture value. November 12th, we're voting in council. 13, 14, 18, 19, COP orientation. It will be the same material at all of them. Pick one, pick none. I'll send you the notes. December 4th, allocations meeting. We're going to vote on round 2. December 5th, 9th, and 11th. Those are the 2027 engagement meetings. I know. December 16th is a panelist party. January 8th, we meet again to vote on those COP guidelines that we will have spent all December meeting with the community about. So those are all the updates I have.
Okay, and because we have Adriana, you can either take a picture of that or you can expect that emails with calendar invites will be coming out tomorrow. And in the meantime, you can either take a picture of that or that's an updated slide, right? So if anybody wants the updated slide where you want to enter it yourself instead of waiting for Adriana's wonderful invitations, take a picture of it right now. So, okay, are there any, does anybody have any announcements, anything you want to share? Not agenda items, but if you've just got something going on you want to share with the group?
Just real quick, Chair.
Yes.
I know they're not necessarily an arts group, but if you have the chance, go see The Outsiders. It was perhaps the best Broadway tour I have ever seen.
And
It's
a
a great
local,
show.
Really good.
yes, and a local, local arts kid is playing Soda Pop. He, I think he was a Booker T grad. I'm not certain about that. He was in the Broadway Dallas Youth Program, and he's playing Soda Pop. So that is a great bit of news. Thank you for that. It's also not an arts thing, and I'm probably going to get in trouble for this, but whenever you guys see Commissioner Hornbuckle in person, and particularly if you see his lovely wife, Daphne, she just received an incredible award as an outstanding alumni of Hofstra University. They were in New York in October for her to receive the award. It's a major, major accomplishment only given to a handful of people from the university in its history. So when you see Daphne, I'm sure that Commissioner Hornbuckle would be happy to supply you with contact information, but please pass on your congratulations. It is quite an accomplishment to somebody who really deserved to be recognized for all the work that she has done. So with that,
Madam
and with
Chair,
yes,
I
Commissioner
just
Hornbuckle.
quickly want to say thank you for your kind words. And of course, I married up. Thank you.
I'm not going to say way up, but yes, big congratulations to Daphne. With all business before the commission being concluded, I call this meeting to an end at 5:29 p.m. Thank you all for your hard work, and a big thanks to the staff for having everything put together so this would go smoothly.
Thank you all.
Bye now.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.